What is going on, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? All right, Steelers fans, it is the second half of the Let's Ride podcast. Every Wednesday, we do the Mailbag Segment. And in case you don't know how to get your question answered, all you have to do is find me on Twitter at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. Every Tuesday morning, I put out the tweet. You just have to respond to that with your question. I will provide the answer. Let's get things started with Steely's burner account. He asked Caleb Johnson, I feel like it was nerves with him on Saturday. What say you, Jeff? And he said, hashtag Ride or Die Crew. Caleb Johnson had a mixed bag of a performance, if you ask me. I thought he had some good moments, and he had some bad moments. Definitely was some of those pitter-pattering feet in the backfield. I'm sure there was some nerves there. I'm sure that the speed of the game is something he has to get acclimated to. I'm not going to make any harsh judgments on any individual player after one preseason performance, especially a rookie. That's not fair. So I thought that, yes, nerves were an issue, but I think that eventually, let's see how he does on Saturday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Does he settle in? Does he play a little bit more with the starting offensive line? That's another big question. Let's go to our buddy from up north, Jeff Coons. He said, greetings from Not Mad Canada. A completely hypothetical question today. If you could be guaranteed that all Steelers players wouldn't have an injury on Saturday night against Tampa, who would you want to see suit up? So I can guarantee that no one's getting hurt. Who do I want to see suit up? I think that's an easy one for me. I want to see Aaron Rodgers. I talked about this on the NFL Whip Around with Coach Kevin Smith, and you can hear that on our FFSN NFL podcast feed. It's already out there. It was out on Tuesday morning. And I asked him this question. Like, I know that he's a veteran, but don't you want to see what he could do? And he said, Jeff, he goes, yeah, I agree with you. You got to see what you have in him. This isn't Aaron Rodgers in year 19 with the Steelers. This is his first year with the Steelers, first year with Arthur Smith, his third team in 4 years. I want to see what he can do, at least get the rust off. That's my answer. That's a good hypothetical question, by the way. Might use that for a burning question this weekend or this Friday on the SteelCurtainNetwork.com. Let's go to the Believers Ride or Die Crew poll of the week. His question, how do you feel about Cam wanting a new deal? The options are pay that man his money, shut up and play, or has to be middle ground. I voted for there has to be middle ground. And I spent a lot of time in the first half of the podcast talking about Cam's situation and what the Steelers can and cannot do. I think there has to be middle ground. They got to find a way. They need Cam Hayward. They have to do whatever they have to do to get him on the field. It's just how I feel. All right, let's go to Annie. She says, hi, Jeff. Thanks for all the work you and the guys put in to keep us entertained during the offseason lull. My question is, who is one historical Steeler you would want to add to the current team to make us Super Bowl contenders? That's a good question. One historical Steeler. Current contender. Okay, so let me think about this. This is difficult because the defenses are a little different. But at the same time, if I were to add one historical Steeler, I would probably go to Hines Ward. I think with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and it's easy for me to say, like, oh, let's go back to prime Ben Roethlisberger. But, man, do they need a wide receiver, too. And I know Hines Ward in his day was not wide receiver 2. He was wide receiver 1. And it didn't matter if Antoine Randall comes in. Doesn't matter. He's wide receiver 1. Plexico Burress, Hines Ward's wide receiver 1. Santonio Holmes, you know what I'm saying. But, boy, would he be a great compliment to DK Metcalf, and wouldn't he be amazing as a blocker in Arthur Smith's scheme? That would really transform that offense. I would go with that. Good question, Annie. All right, let's hear from Tank. Haven't heard from Tank in a long time. He said, hello, Jeff. Long time. First question is, he asked several, if the Steelers could keep the hamstrings intact this year, how scary can the defense be? Not just the hamstrings. Don't forget the groin muscles. They could be really, really good. And you're reading some of the stuff coming out of training camp, and everyone's saying the same thing. Like, this defense is legitimate. Like a really legitimate defense. I'm excited for that. Second question. Would you rather the Steelers lead the league in sacks or turnovers on defense? For me, I would rather the Steelers lead the league in takeaways. Sacks are awesome. Sacks are great. But when you can get your offense extra possessions, I think that leads to higher point totals. So I'm going to go with takeaways. Third question. Do you see any possibility that the Steelers will shop Calvin Austin III? I'm not so sure that they're doing that, especially when he's been injured or at least reportedly injured. You're not going to shop a guy that's not even able to play. But again, if it's a deal that they feel that they want or need and they could really work something and he's a part of it, I don't think they're not going to listen, if that makes sense. All right, Tank continues. Week 1, the Steelers line up Roman or Calvin Austin III. Go into motion. We fake a jet sweep, and Rodgers throws it 50 yards to Metcalf on the very first play. Would you scream, cheer, or state what in the world is going on? Probably all three. I would scream, I would cheer, and I'd probably say what is going on. I can see just from the one vanilla example that we got that this year should be different with the Steelers offense and the way that it's being orchestrated with Arthur Smith. I'm excited to see what they can do. But again, going back to Annie's question, I want to see Aaron Rodgers out there at least a little bit. I know he's been very vocal that he just doesn't need to play in the preseason. But if I'm Mike Tomlin, whether it's week 2 at home against Tampa Bay or whether it's week 3 on the road against Carolina, I'm saying, Aaron, I need you for a series, man. I want you to go out there. I want you to warm up. I want you to have the uniform on. I want you to go out and let's just knock the rust off. Let's get a couple quarterback center exchanges, under center, shotgun, and then get out. Like, I think that's necessary. I think it is. Just my own personal opinion, though. And last from Tank, can we get an offseason cooking competition between the trio? He's talking about Dave Schofield, Brian Davis, and me. I don't know what we would have to cook. You know, everyone has their own specialty. I know Dave Schofield makes a mean pepperoni roll. Anyone that's from West Virginia, I think that's the official food of West Virginia, actually, is a pepperoni roll. He makes a really good pepperoni roll. Brian, I have no idea if that guy even cooks, and if he does, what he cooks. And we all know that I love to grill, so I don't know. We'd have to work that out. But that's in the offseason. To me, the season has already started. We'll talk about that after the season concludes. All right, and let's finish this up with Steeler Fan 69. He said, hello, my friend. The invisible man and the invisible woman got married, but their kids aren't anything to look at. Very good. Next one. My grandma is in her 90s, and she still doesn't need glasses. She just drinks straight out of the bottle. And lastly, a dragon would never explode, but a dino might. I love the play on words. Simple humor. We got to go back to simple humor. I'm all for that. I do want to remind everyone to check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com. Remember, that website is completely free. And you can go and you can create a free account at the top. All you need is an email address. You create a password, and you can comment in the articles. We had a very active and lively open thread during the game. So if you're not able to watch the game, if you want to just follow along with other fans, go into the open thread. It kind of populates as you go. You don't have to refresh the page over and over again. Go do that. SteelCurtainNetwork.com. And we do appreciate everyone's support there. Also on the podcast side, today at 11 o'clock a.m., you're going to hear another Steel City Insider podcast with Jeremy Ritz and Jim Wexel. They're going to recap everything that happened against the Jaguars and kind of take a look ahead to the Tampa Bay Bucs game. So make sure you check that out and check out all of our podcasts on the Steel Curtain Network. We do appreciate every single one of you for checking us out. But that's a wrap for me. I'll be back on Friday. We'll be previewing the game on Saturday, players to watch. Jeremy Jerome Betts will be joining me for the All Bets Are Off segment, but you know how we finish these up. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday. Go Steelers.